coalition of civil society groups condemns the action of one Judge Ubo, a serial blackmailer, distractions and extortions attempts against NNPC Group Chief Executive Officer and the management team. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, esteemed members of the public, and distinguished guests here seated, we, the Coalition of Civil Society Groups, have convened today to address a matter of grave concern that has come to our attention once again. We find it necessary to shed light on the disturbing actions of one Mr. George Ubo, who has been engaged in a relentless campaign of serial blackmail and extortion against the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mr. Menekari, and other government agencies, including corporate institutions. For the avoidance of doubt, the said Mr. George Ubo, a self-styled whistleblower, a known serial blackmailer, who is notorious for being known to have published false information against hundreds of individuals and organizations in Nigeria over the past years. His activities have earned him several arrests and convictions, but yes, he refused to stop the ugly business of extortion through blackmail. Before delving into the specifics of Mr. Ubo's actions, it is crucial to provide some context. The matter in question is currently before the Federal High Court, indicating that due legal process are already underway to address any legitimate concerns. Please note, what is blackmailing on is already at the court. However, we are deeply troubled by Mr. Ubo's attempts to manipulate the situation outside the purview of the court through unethical means. For the records, the National Assembly, who is saddled with legitimate investigations of all MDAs, has investigated the phantom missing of 48 million barrels of crude oil that only exists in Judge Ubo's ward, and angrily trashed it after thorough investigation that none of such happened. It may interest you to know that it was the same judge that ran to the National Assembly to constitute a panel towards unraveling his petition. After the National Assembly, which he believed he will use to blackmail the NNPC towards paying him the sum of $500,000, dismissed his petition and cleared the NNPC of such lies, he ran to the court with his inactive NGO. The actions of Mr. George Ubo and his co-travelers have raised serious ethical and legal concerns within our society. His continuous attempts to blackmail and extort NNPCL and other government agencies not only undermine the rule of law, but also compromise the integrity of our institutions. Judge Ubo has gone to US prison and served for over 10 years, where he was deported after serving his sentence. Back home, he has been in prison for serial attempts to blackmail the CBN and MTN. It is in the course of his detention that he met the fraudsters who gave him the tales by moonlight of 48 million missing barrels of crude oil. What the foreign fraudsters never told him is that they were serving sentence on the same issue, which was investigated by the State Security Service and found them as people who came to blackmail the federal government of Nigeria. We want to emphasize that we, as a reputable coalition, stand firmly against any form of corruption and misconduct within the public and private institutions. We don't condone any acts of corruption, and so we're here to say fighting corruption must be done rightly, not through blackmail. However, the appropriate channels for addressing such concerns are through established legal process, not through coercion, blackmail, or extortion. The Coalition of Civil Society Groups firmly believes in the principles of due process and the rule of law. Every citizen, regardless of their status or affiliation, is entitled to a fair and just legal proceeding. Mr. Obo's action, on the other hand, represents a blatant disregard for these principles and pose a threat to the stability and credibility of our legal system. It is essential for all citizens to trust and have confidence in our legal institutions. By attempting to subvert due process through blackmail and extortion, Mr. Obo undermines the very foundations of justice that our society relies on. We call on Mr. George Obo and his gang to immediately cease his attempts at blackmail and extortion and to respect the legal process already in motion. No individual should place themselves above the law or seek to manipulate it for personal gain. The court is the appropriate forum to address the concerns raised, and we trust that justice will be served in accordance with established legal norms. Furthermore, we urge the public to remain vigilant and discerning when faced with sensationalist claims or attempts to manipulate public opinion. It is our collective responsibility to uphold the principles of justice, fairness, and due process. In conclusion, the Coalition of Civil Society Groups condemns in the strongest terms Mr. George Obo's serial blackmail and extortion attempts against the NNPCL, and we reiterate our commitment to the rule of law and due process. And we call on all stakeholders to support the proper legal channels to address any concerns within our society. If this persists, we shall not hesitate to engage further legitimate steps in putting an end to the shenanigans of Mr. Obo and his gang of cheap blackmailers. And indeed, we will be submitting a petition to the SSS against Judge Obo. Thank you for your attention. Being a whistleblower is a good thing, but we know that there are individuals who do such to extort. So Judge Obo has always been a serial blackmailer, a known blackmailer. And we're saying, what is the law enforcement agencies doing about this? Is it that they are in connivance with him? We don't really understand what's going on. This person is a known blackmailer who wants to hide under the umbrella of a whistleblower. And he doesn't want to come to the level of the fact that he's using it to extort Nigerians. I think Nigerians should be watchful of such elements. There are many in the streets. There are many. So many Judge Obos are there on the streets, extorting people here and there. And I think we should be very vigilant at this point in time. We will not allow this to continue. Thank you. Yes, please, questions or contributions from colleagues?
Well, gentlemen of the press, I think virtually everything has been said. But what we're saying as a coalition remains that, look, he who asserts must prove. And if there are processes in court, which is legal, which is normal, I think we should allow that thing to slide away before any further action. Anybody who does that, who does contrary, remains a suspect, and he has ulterior motive. And that's why we're saying that as progressive elements and as Nigerians who are patriotic about this country, whatever we do must be in line with the laid down rules, regulation, and law of the land. There's nobody, I repeat, nobody that is higher than the grand norm, which is the constitution of the country. And there are processes when you are whistleblowing. There are processes you must follow. You must wait for the investigation to be conducted, because it is not just to allege. For you to have convincing, I use the word convincing evidence to say yes, he has done this. And when we have a National Assembly that has trashed this matter out, I think we should allow it to rest. But we are saying that no, nobody's above the law. Whoever errs must be punished. So that's why we're saying that Mr. Ubo should allow the due process of the law to take its course.
I just needed to seek a clarification.
Please go ahead.
You claim that Judge Ubo is blackmailing. Is Judge Ubo blackmailing the NNPCL at this point in time? What is the basis of the blackmail? What exactly are the allegations being raised against the NNPCL? And secondly, it was stated while you were reading the press statement that he alleged or had petitioned the National Assembly that 48 million barrels of was somehow not unaccounted for. Every Nigerian know that the NNPCL is the most opaque company in the whole world. They've not presented their books, neither have they accounted any of their records, even with the central bank coordinating minister of finance, that's the CBN governor. So, I mean, on what basis did the National Assembly give a clean bill of health to the NNPCL on this issue, and at what point in time was that done?
Thank you so much. Yeah. The issue before us here is the 48 million barrels of oil or crude oil missing. All right, and that was what he presented before the National Assembly, and it was investigated, and such was not found to be right. He could come up tomorrow with allegations that are right. We won't go against that. We will not. But whereby he's alleging something that is phantom, something that is not there, something that hasn't existed. If it has existed, and you and I are aware, we all know what happens in government agencies. We know. But it's not just enough to just come up and say it's like a state government now collecting money from Abuja, and somebody now comes and says, oh, they've embezzled the whole money. Okay, knowing fully that the whole money was not embezzled. Okay, you must be able to state right which of the money has been. Is it the money for education, the money for health, the money for infrastructure, or what? You must lay claim. He laid claim on 48 million barrels of crude oil that is missing, fact and figure. So if he had delved into other things, which could be right, then if we are here today critiquing him, then we will be wrong. All right? So that is just on that.
Okay. So, sorry, let me just quickly comment. You see, like I said, we should not dignify lies or blackmail or outright falsehood. What we're saying that yes, there are issues. Yes, and wow, okay, how did they arrive at the 48 million barrels a day? And at what value? You understand? That's number one. Number two, a number of governments saddled with the responsibility of investigation had carried out it. We cannot determine the terms used, but at least by law, the National Assembly has the power to look into the matter, and the matter has been thoroughly discussed. And I think that should also show, because when we continue to deride our institutions, definitely we'll have problems. So we should not decide if the decision, because in democracy, majority might be wrong, but that is what democracy is all about. It's about the majority. If it's the National Assembly that says this is because they have the right to do that, if such has been done and it has been found to be phantom, definitely any right-thinking person should have alive like that. But if you feel otherwise, you can also call the approach you call for adjudication. That's our position.
Okay, sir.